Welcome to another episode of Family Goals with David Pollack and Pastor Jay.
I'm already pissed right out the gates because we were told to bring items, and we have items on our desk that represent us, or that, which, by the way, sucked. I hated the exercise in itself. Yeah. I was like, honey, I'm supposed to bring 3 items that show my personality. I was like, what shows my personality? She's like, I don't know. And we started talking about it, and she gave me the list. So I have my stuff, clearly.
Well, let's go over your items.
Right. Well, no, let's go over your items because you don't have any. Like, somebody's supposed to follow rules around here, and I'm not usually the one that does.
I brought my alma mater pennant, JSU Gamecocks.
I didn't know you went to JSU.
You didn't know that?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I assumed you went to LSU with your boy fandom, but no. So y'all beat Florida State.
I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, beat Florida State. I mean, it's like being the world's fastest elephant, but that's okay. I mean, you're still slow and you're still awful, but I mean, Florida State.
Hey, Florida State's awesome.
Yeah, they're 0-3.
Yeah. ACC.
They might be the worst in the ACC, which is saying something.
Yeah.
That's okay though. But anyways, I brought my football, for youth league football, for coaching, and brought my my mug over here because apparently I love coffee. I didn't know I was going to have one delivered to me. Thank you, Joel. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. Put some water in your coffee for you.
Correct. You got to make it taste decent. Coffee sucks, but it tastes better when you add water. And then I brought a book because apparently I'm a reader now. And that's something that's new in the past several years.
I would think you were an audio book guy.
No, I like the book in my hand. I don't
like
do
the actual book.
Correct.
Not like Kindle.
I do like podcasts though. I listen to podcasts all the time too. And then I got my Meathead protein shake in my coffee cup. So, and now I threw it over on the table.
How many of those do you drink a day?
I usually do the bars. This is my son who's a meathead now too, which is amazing. But
DeChambeau, are you familiar with golf?
Yes.
Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah.
He put on like 40 pounds, but he drinks like 12 shakes a day.
That's awesome. I love the golf community hates Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah.
Because he's different.
I love him.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't like him. I absolutely love him. He just bombs. He has every iron the same distance. All of his irons they're different faces, but they're all the 5-iron length.
Oh, it's the same length.
Yes, that's his favorite length.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy because I like shorter clubs. I don't know about you. Like the lower the club, usually the more consistent I am.
Right.
It's crazy, man. He swings them all basically he wants every swing to be exactly the same.
He's got big grips too.
Yeah, I got enormous grips on mine too. It helps.
Do you really?
Oh yeah, I got the jumbo grips because I got enormous mitts.
Yeah.
So it helps. But my golf game, it's not helping too much.
We need to get out there.
I'm in.
You and I need to get out there. I'm gonna bring some stuff. But I was gonna bring my hole-in-one golf ball.
I didn't bring mine. I didn't keep my hole-in-one golf ball. What?
You've made a hole-in-one?
I have.
Are you serious?
Tell me about the hole that you got a hole-in-one.
8th hole, Jennings Mill. They're in Athens, close to you. It was a fundraiser golf tournament for
Jennings Mill's tough.
Titans football, which I know you're a big supporter of. Titans. But yeah, it was like 127-yard
pitching wedge.
Man,
did you know you flushed it like right when you hit it?
Flushed it, and it just. We've got video. We've got. Maybe we'll show video someday.
We probably need to talk about something important.
Joel, can you grab him that basketball out there?
Oh, you want a basketball?
Or maybe Wojak can get it.
Justin's got
that could be my item.
There you go.
I saw a basketball when I came in.
Nice. That's the way to be prepared.
Nice.
That's how you should do your sermons from now on. Hey, I'm Pastor Jay. I don't know what we're talking about today, but it's going to be great. I struck out Brett Favre.
Did you see Favre last night on
I did.
Peyton? Now, what are your thoughts on Peyton and Eli?
I love it.
I think it's great.
I think it's awesome.
I mean, I
love it, but I didn't think Favre's segment was the best. But
I thought they should have had Favre tell more stories.
Yeah.
Instead of talking football, but
Yeah, he
could have talked about getting struck out by me and
he could have brought that up. That would have been awesome. He probably remembers it like it was yesterday.
We need to reach out. Yes, it's probably something he regrets in life.
Yeah, probably.
So, but you like Eli and Peyton?
I do. I think it's cool. Yeah. I think it's enjoyable. I just think it's not as, like I turn the other one on and I turn theirs on. Mm-hmm. It's just not as corporate. It feels more comfortable. It feels,
and
then you hear, they just talk football the whole time. It's kind of cool. There's no, in and out of breaks. So they're not worried about X, Y, and Z. They kind of just let it rip. And it's kind of, I enjoyed that. I definitely enjoyed it. I mean, Lindsay were watching it last night and I was like, I'm not turning it back. I like this. I like listening to this.
I kept it on there the whole time.
I bet a lot of people do.
I'd be curious. I'm curious to see what the ratings are and all that stuff. So, hey, it's good seeing you. I'm excited about this podcast because we're getting to hang out. You and I normally don't hang out.
No,
I see you on TV.
Yeah, I have way better friends than you. Correct. Hang out with way cooler people than you, for sure.
Well, I'm so busy. So you got a lot. That's
my favorite thing. Everybody's so busy. I get in trouble with my wife sometimes with that too. I'm like,
we're getting to hang here. We're getting to talk sports, and so today's episode we're going to talk about lessons learned from sports. And there's so many life lessons from sports. You and I love sports. It's a great teacher.
It's the best teacher.
Life.
It's the best teacher. It's in certain areas. I mean, it's just the only teacher that you can really, like the Oconee County area. It's a different area. There's not a lot of struggle going on in Oconee County where we're from, and it's the only thing that can create that struggle for them. I mean, I ask my wife all the time. We'd be coming home from the lake, and we always have these philosophical talks, whether she likes it or not. And I'm always bringing up things. Why do you think about stuff? I don't know. That's where my brain works, babe. But I'm like, where do our kids struggle? Like, where do we how do we make them, how do we create struggle? Listen, I don't want my kids to have the hardest things in life, but how do I create some of that in their life that they know what it is when they hit it? Because it's coming. It's going to come at some point, obviously. We're all going to hit it. And so, we talk about that a lot in our relationship, and how can we find those areas that we can create that? And sports does that automatically because you win, you lose. You win because of someone else. You lose because of someone else. That's hard to stomach for a lot of people. Like, I mean, it's a tough task. Like, wait a minute, I did my job right, but we lost. That's the way it works. That's the way life works.
Definitely in team sports.
Yeah.
Which that was one of the things that led me into tennis. Yeah, because I would get so frustrated. We would lose a game that you're depending on 8 other people in baseball.
It's tough being perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was never your fault you lost. It was just, it's tough. I struck out Brett Favre, but what did y'all do? I mean.
Well, let's talk about lesson 1 I have written down here is learning to compete. What are your thoughts on that? Sports teaches
100%.
We're talking about everybody, but it's families, our kids.
Listen, do some people innately know how to compete? 100%. Some people are born with a desire. I was born with a competitive spirit. Not everybody is born with that competitive spirit, and it has to be taught. You have to understand, and how you teach it, I think, as a coach is important, because the Lord knows I've screwed it up enough with 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kids. Now I'm on my kids. The kids have gone through the cycles. Now they're up to 12U. But you definitely have to teach kids how to compete, and life takes fight. Life takes competing, and you got to learn what that looks like and how to compete and how to give your best. But again, understanding that sometimes your best isn't good enough, but you got to be able to accept that. Like, I gave my best. I gave everything I could. I wasn't good enough today. And how to handle that and how to respond to that too. But I love that you put that first, because life takes fight, life takes competitiveness, and you better compete in every aspect of your life.
Well, that's, Jolin's actually in here with us, my son. And so I had the privilege of playing sports with Jolin growing up. But that was one of the conversations that, if we'd lose the game and Jolin's disappointed, that was like my number one question is, well, did you give it your best? I mean, did you? Yeah. Because to me, that success is, hey, I gave it my best. Sometimes the person across the tennis court, he's
Djokovic.
He's just better than you,
yeah.
No matter what you do. So this is kind of a funny story, but Jolin's tennis coach in high school is a guy named Porky Bird. Porky.
What a name.
And
that's his real name, or that was a nickname?
Well, that's a nickname, but when he was a kid, his whole life is Porky. And so he played number 1 for NC State in tennis. And,
what does that mean? Played number 1 for?
He was the number 1. He was the best tennis player at NC State.
You say so? You say I play number 1? That's the vernacular.
Yeah. So there's 6 singles lines. So you played number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4.
6 singles lines.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like players?
Yeah, 6 players.
Wow. Okay, this is foreign to me. This is okay. So there's 6.
You and John Isner were buddies.
I'm good friends with tennis buddies. Don't mean I know about this crap, but. So there's 6 players that there's only 6 single players on a team.
Exactly.
Total.
You got to be. Is
there like walk-ons and other people that
there's walk-ons, but they're kind of like practice players. They're not getting to play in the real match.
Okay. So you fight for the number 1 seed every week?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like John Isner played number 1 for University of Georgia. So when they played the national championship, and we went to that. Who did
Illinois?
Illinois. That's right. Yeah. So Isner's
I like
on
that we gave Jolyn a mic.
Isner's on
I
the
feel
one.
special.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
Hey, we are big time here.
Big time.
And I want to point out we're wearing
real deal headphones.
Yeah, headphones.
Yeah, you brought those today. That was your contribution, right?
We've got a whole team.
Yeah.
I mean,
all right, continue.
Oh, so Isner, so they're playing Illinois in the national championship. Isner plays their best player, and theoretically, number 2 singles plays their second best player. Your third best plays.
Could you do some gamesmanship with that though?
A lot of gamesmanship going on.
I would.
A lot of sandbagging.
If the number 1 guy's clearly better than everybody, then just throw a scrub out there and try to win the other ones.
Yeah, so that's
sorry
that's
if you're the
going
6th
on
guy
all
and
the
I just
time.
called you a scrub, but you're 6 for a reason.
But that happens. It happens in Alta.
What were you?
It
Were
happens
you
in
6?
ladies 4.0.
Were you ever the 1 guy?
I was the number 1 guy.
Really? Jolyn,
Yeah.
was he?
He was. Yeah, it's true.
My nickname in college was Big Dog.
Big dog.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now it's Pastor Jay. You're welcome.
Well, we played number 1, 2 weeks ago?
So Jolyn and I are playing together in Alta.
Doubles?
Doubles.
Wow,
Yep.
that's awesome.
Yep.
We played number 1.
Is Jolyn in his physical prime?
I feel like I'm past my physical prime.
I mean, he's young.
I don't know.
How old are you,
should be.
Jolyn?
I don't know. 24.
24. I feel like we should be coming into our physical
27 is physical prime for a male. I think 24.
prime. So
for
why
a
is he
female.
past his then if he's 24?
He's kind of let himself go a little
Yeah,
bit.
dude.
Well,
Yeah.
Probably has something to do with the diet,
family goals.
diet and
Definitely.
exercise.
Family goals. All right. Where we at?
Back to competing,
Competing.
learning to compete. So sports teaches us to compete.
Yeah.
Anything
100%.
else on that?
No, I think we hit it.
All right. I wanted to share some lessons. Billy Bryce, Chase Bryce's dad.
Yeah.
So Billy was the best baseball coach Jolyn ever had, and did wonders for Jolyn's baseball game. Billy played like AA ball, and he had these 3 rules when it came out for kids sports. I think Jolyn was 6 or 7 at the time. So his 3 rules for kids sports were: play hard.
Yep.
When you cross the line, you give 100%. His second rule was have a great attitude. No matter what, you're representing your family. Of course, we're representing Christ when we play.
Yeah.
And then his third rule was to have fun. And I think so many of these youth league coaches
Get a little crazy.
are missing out that, hey, we're in this thing to have fun. And so I thought that was a great lesson I learned from Billy, because when I started coaching, because I coached Julia and Jolyn, that was my 3 rules. Give it your best, have a great attitude, and have fun. And you're reminding the kids of that. The other thing I learned from Billy.
It's funny because I have 3 things that I ask my kids after every game. We never talk about touchdowns. We never talk about stolen bases or success or touchdowns. We don't do that because that's not the most important part of the game. I don't care about any of that stuff. Did you have fun? Did you try as hard as you could? And I love you regardless. Those are the 3
good.
things.
I like that.
I don't care if you sucked and you were the worst player on the field. When we leave here, I love you and you're my son. I love you. You're my daughter. Like, no matter what. So very, very similar. And our mantra for us is attitude and effort. It's always been attitude and effort.
Mm-hmm.
You only control your attitude and effort. And to me, attitude is having fun, having a positive attitude. Like, this is fun. This is awesome. And then giving everything I have. That's all you control. You don't control outcomes. You don't control perfection. You control your attitude and you control your effort. So very similar.
Very similar. The other thing with Billy that I loved is he had a very good demeanor with the kids. He never lost his temper. He always like kept us cool. And I really appreciated that, especially when the kids were really small.
Yeah.
Because it's all about having fun. Because if you're not having fun, they're not going to want to keep playing. Mm-mm. So the goal for me was they want to keep playing.
Play next year.
Yeah, play next year. If it's all so serious, I mean, as soon as the game's over, what they're thinking about is going to ski bobs.
Yeah,
we had ski
snacks.
bobs out of Bay Creek, man. The snow cones.
Yeah,
they love
that's
it.
the truth. The kids will teach you that if you pay attention. Like, parents get upset or upset all the time. Like, they don't care. They don't. Yeah. They want to win, but their day is not defined by if they win. Like, they're gonna go get snacks, and like you give them snacks after the game. It's It's awesome.
And,
it's go time.
And who am I spending the night with?
Yeah.
Can we go hang out?
Yeah.
Can I hang out with so-and-so? Can so-and-so
That's
come
a whole
over?
pod, by the
over?
way, of who we let our kids spend the night with. That's a whole pod.
All right, Jolyn, write that down.
Got it.
We definitely...
That's a whole pod.
I've gotten in trouble for that in the past because I wouldn't let my kids spend the night at certain people's houses.
We have 2 families.
So
we have 2 that we've spent the night at.
We do a whole podcast on that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do a whole podcast on travel sports.
Yeah, that's good.
So we're going to get into that. So Billy's demeanor leads me to, I want to talk about motivation and coaching. Proper motivation. I have seen some of these coaches. I didn't play football myself, so I know football is a little bit different beast, and you can speak to that. But I've seen these coaches where they're just dog cussing out, like the head coach, high school head coach, cussing out the other coaches.
Oh, yeah. Fighting.
And cussing out the players. Mm-hmm. And I'm more of the philosophy of creating a positive, encouraging, like for me, I'm going to thrive when I'm encouraged, not when somebody's just browbeating me. What are your thoughts on that? Like proper motivation.
I think the hard thing of the other side of that coin is people are going to say you get your best out of people when you put them in pressure situations or keep them on edge. What I'll say is this, and even college football, when I came into the game and started doing game day and all the stuff 10, 12 years ago, like it was more dictatorships in college football than anything else.
Like the head coach.
The head coaches were dictators. They were above reproach. That's completely changed now. And social media has changed that. And players being able to tweet out and say this happened. And, that doesn't fly anymore. Like that's not going to fly. But it's also been a dramatic shift because like Bobby Bowden was one of the first coaches to do it. He coached with love. He did it with love. Mm-hmm. He didn't have to do it with fear. He didn't have to do it with yelling. He let you know he loved you. That doesn't mean he can't get after you. Dabo Swinney. That's his whole, he loves his people.
And the whole environment that he's created.
It's unbelievable, yeah. But it's about love. Ryan Day is more chill. Listen, all these coaches are going to get on you still. And they're still going to say words that you probably don't like and that people don't want to hear sometimes. But that's also life too. I mean, every song you find, if you're going to find the clean version, you got to search it. I mean, like that's not abnormal. So, but I definitely think it's shifted because the way our kids have shifted. These kids need to know 2 things when it comes to coaching. They need to know that you love them. That's number 1. They need to know that you absolutely care about them and that you love them. And these are kids for anything, by the way, not just coaching. They need to know you care about them because if they care about, they know you care about them, you're messing around with them, joking with them, they know they can listen to you, they can trust you. And they need to know the why. Because back in your generation, and even mine, if my dad said, go in the yard right now and dig a hole, I'd be like, how big? If you told Jolyn to go dig a hole, you'd say, why? Why am I digging a hole? What's the point? What are you doing with it? It's not what I said. I said, go dig a hole. Like the kids now, they need to know the why. The just doing things to do things, it doesn't fly anymore. And one more thing this will take some people off if anybody listens. Which we're hopeful for, but
we'll see if that happens.
All 12 of you listen. All 12 of my family members.
I know your parents will listen.
Mom and dad will. Okay. We have, and this was a big topic in my household this past week. So many kids now struggle when it's hard, they quit. When difficult things come, they quit. The generation of quitters, the generation of easy. Why?
Why do they quit?
Why is this generation of kids, quote unquote, softer? Why, parents say that all the time, right? Mm-hmm. Like this generation is different. This isn't like I have parents of my football coaches that say this generation is so much different than mine. Are you the parent? You control that. Mm-hmm. That's the fact. I talk to one of these players all the time, all these dads all the time, and it's just all the time I'm talking to them about it. Now, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. You ever thought about it's you? Maybe thought about like, hey, life's difficult. Just like when the kids get hurt in football. Okay, we don't have a lot of, thank God, we don't have a lot of serious injuries. And you dang sure don't have it in football at 6, 7, 8. What happens? They fall down. Like, oh my God, we make a production of it. Like, Jacob Smith got hurt this past week in the game. He looks like he got shot. I mean, rolling around all over the place. I walk up to him. I'm like, hey, man, if you can fart, you'll be okay. And he starts laughing, but I'm like, all right, get up. Like, get up.
He's watched a lot of soccer games.
Yes, you ain't lying, but get up and walk off. Like, it's interesting to me with so many parents that complain about this generation. When you're in control of how your kid handles situations, you're in control about how you talk to your kids. You're in control about your kids' behaviors, mannerisms. All they do is sit on an iPad. Did you give them the iPad? Well, they're just texting all the time. They're on their cell phones all the time. There's another topic, cell phones.
Yeah.
Did you give them the cell phone? I mean, I just
write that down.
That to me, and then again, that might tick people off, but it's 100% fact. Like, it's the truth. That is 100%. Yeah. You control that.
My tennis coach had a saying at Jacksonville State, Coach Bailey. I'd love to talk about him sometime, but he always said, he called me dog. I started off
apparently you were a big dog.
I was big dog, but then it just turned into dog.
Why?
I don't
just transition.
Maybe some bigger freshmen came in after me.
They were bigger dogs.
But he'd say, dog. Like if somebody was acting up on the tennis court, like throwing their rackets, smashing rackets, acting like a fool, he would always say, dog, it's all in the upbringing. It's how someone is raised. And he had a philosophy. So his philosophy was to recruit players from good families.
Yeah.
So is
smart.
It's all in the upbringing.
And Dabo does that more. Dabo's more, he offers people later, and he's more selective with who he goes after. I think it's an important component because you figure out what's important to, because the biggest thing we're trying to figure out is what makes the kids tick. Yeah. And that's always what you want to figure out. But obviously backgrounds have a lot to do with what makes people tick. I mean, that's a fact. You can tell usually by family dynamics, what's important to people and who's in their life and what they're going to struggle with sometimes, and you can get to know the person. So I see that. I understand. I think that's a sound philosophy, unless they can't play. That's kind of an important component. They got to, yes, family background dynamics good, but first we better be really good at, you better be good at the sport, and then you're okay. He's got good behavior.
So if you have two equally talented people,
take the one with the.
I'm taking the one with the good family, the good upbringing and character, and so you mentioned one of the lessons we learned from sports is quitters never win and winners never quit, and we're going to talk about that in the next podcast, which reminds me of a story of you wrestling with a singlet. Ooh. But I think we'll save that for the next podcast because I think
you just wanted to put that out there. So
I'm putting that out there as a teaser for the people.
Just think about the people. Me in a singlet at 250 pounds. Okay, we'll just leave that there.
Yeah, so we're going to leave that there. And I think, we're only getting started in lessons learned from sports.
Just getting started.
So we'll have several.
We're just trying to keep it short because we know the attention spans of people are not strong, including this guy.
Because of us.
Including this guy. It's parents' fault, remember?
So we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Family Goals with Pastor Jay and David Pollack.